Hey, I'm John F. Gately. You can call me Jack, broadcasting to you from beautiful Plymouth, Massachusetts, America's hometown. Happy Friday. And of course, happy Columbus Day weekend. Columbus Day weekend. We honor and celebrate the spirit of discovery on Columbus Day weekend. No matter what my Android phone wants to tell me what holiday it is Columbus Day weekend. And here we are. We usually have beautiful weather for Columbus Day weekend, but apparently only today and tomorrow. Only today and tomorrow we have good weather. Sunday, Monday, and maybe even to Tuesday seems like some type of washout northeaster thingy. So yeah, if you're gonna go out there and do your thing this weekend, tomorrow is apparently it. I'll probably start the day cleaning the gutters or some type of outdoor activity. Probably gonna bring in. It's gonna be windy, I heard. I'm gonna bring in any type of stuff that we usually do that on Halloween, but probably do it a little bit early. It's gonna be stormy out Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday into Tuesday. So yeah, well, what can you do? Oh, and by the way, talking about the weather, I know it's chilly out there, isn't it? It's chilly. Don't touch the thermostat. You're not allowed to touch that thing until at least Thanksgiving, right? Right. First off, you can't afford to touch the thermostat. You can't afford to touch the thermostat. So grab another blanket, put on a sweater or something like that. But do not even think about moving towards the thermostat in any way, shape, or form. You can't afford it. There's not enough gas pipelines headed your way. I know also that aside from waking up to be a little bit chilly this morning, I know that you're really broken up about Letitia James. Andrea Joy, there's no joy at Andrea's house today because it's an attack on our democracy. I've noticed that Letitia James indicted. I'm sure that you've heard. I've noticed that nobody who is defending Letitia James, nobody that's defending Letitia James is saying that she didn't do it. Like, no one is standing up and saying, oh, no, this piece of paper proves she didn't do it. Nobody is doing that. They're all saying it's personal vendetta, but nobody's saying she didn't do it. By the way, congratulations to you again for surviving somehow another day with the government shutdown. I mean, how did you do it? You made it through the day depending upon yourself. Amazing. Great job. Good morning, Chester. Good to see you today. We're going to talk about your interview yesterday with Mr. McAllister. We'll mention that on today's show. So looking forward to that. Susie, thank you very much for reposting this morning's stream. And good morning, everybody. Great to be with you today. The White House had a little fun with the showdown. The social media manager is still furrowed thanks to the Dems. So photo dump. And so they did this photo dump, which was pretty funny because all the photos are completely effed up. Like somebody's got their finger on the lens and they took the picture of the chandelier crooked, out of focus, finger on the lens again. Pretty funny White House account trolling this shutdown. What are we going to do without the government there to save us every moment of our waking lives? By the way, something that I think will be in focus, at least it will be in focus for me, that's for sure, the world premiere of Melania the film, January 30th, 2026. Miranda Devine at the New York Post has the story that will be coming late January. Melania the film. Looking forward to it. She deserves the film. Just a quick quick aside, really quickly on this really interesting issue. We don't usually talk about these types of things, but I'm super interested in this. So, and it's my show, so I'm going to mention to you, commute demand grows twice as fast as chip efficiency. That doesn't sound good. Artificial intelligent commute demand and other demand for computer processing is now growing over 2 times the rate of Moore's law, whatever that is, creating a massive shortage. Just to meet current demand, we would need to spend $500 billion in data centers per year until 2030. What does this mean? Let us explain. So I'm just recommending to you that this looks, I have not read this thread, but it looks like an important issue nationally, also for our national defense. And this may be where the whole Green New Deal thing kind of meets its match in the data center situation. So something to watch for sure. I'm very interested in that topic. Then Kimberly Morin from New Hampshire, I've never met, but we've been ex-friends, Twitter friends for a real long time, pointed this out. The Affordable Care Act, the Washington Post makes an admission, or should I say confession. The real problem is that the Affordable Care Act was never actually affordable. It was never actually. We could have told you that. It was never going to be affordable. Understand that the Affordable Care Act is a strategic decision by the far left to take over a huge sector of the healthcare market or the healthcare sector, crash it, so that a new generation of far left people can come along and say that the answer is more government. That it's an incremental step by the left to continue to crash the market and then blame the market when it fails so that the government can take it over even more. That's exactly what the Affordable Care Act is, right? And now the Washington Post even admits, you know what? It was never affordable. It was never really intended to be affordable. It was designed to fail because that way when it fails, the Democrats can once again blame the market and more government, right? That's exactly how that works. That's exactly how that works. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. Happy Friday. Happy Columbus Day. I am fired up this morning because there seems to be just this glimmer of hope. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due here. It is not at the district attorney level. It's at the Police Patrolmen's Association. It's at their level because they are ripping mad. They are ripping mad, as they should be. And we're going to learn from State Representative Exaros why they should be ripping mad. But fortunately, these knuckleheads have now been charged with promoting violence against police. They look so proud. Why are they all wrapped up in these funny-looking scarves? Like they don't want to have their picture taken. And why are they so scared of COVID? I don't understand. But they have now been charged, all 13 of them, with the promotion of anarchy. And the Herald has done a great story. And Mark Stockwell, their photographer, has done a great job getting all of these pictures. These people were not dressed in suits and ties Tuesday night when I saw them on the street. The preppy one here. I don't know where they got these suits and ties, but they were not wearing those when they took over the sidewalk. They were more dressed like this knucklehead here. Look at them. So many of them wearing masks. Uh-oh. Haley McIntyre, $7,500 bail. Oh, no. During her arraignment. Is that her? You never know these days. Reacts to judge imposed $7,500 bail. How much does it really cost? Do you have to put up I've never had the enjoyment. So somebody tell me, like, if it's $7,500 bail, don't you only have to put up like a percentage of that? Isn't like $750 or I just always thought it was a percentage, but somebody might know if you want to throw it in the comments. Another, again, the preppy terrorist, allegedly, Roder Atwood. Can't you just change your name to Roger Roder, $10,000 bail for him. Another mask. It's amazing. Oh, by the way, this is why I wanted to show this picture, because you see all the cops in the back. The cops are ripping mad, and they should be. And that's what's driving these charges. I think this is the guy that I saw that didn't seem to fit the mold. I don't know where he got the suit jacket to look like a normal person. Asma El Khatib, 26 of Watertown. Because he didn't seem to fit the mold because he didn't have a mask on Tuesday night, and now he's all dressed up like he works in the financial district. Yeah, assholes. That's exactly what they are. Now they're all charged with anarchy. They're all charged with anarchy. Say their names. Yeah, well, I will from time to time. I don't know all their names, but they have been published. And I just clicked off the tab, so sorry. But I did seem to get his name in there. Whatever his, and Haley Joe McIntyre or whatever her name was. But here's what I wanted you to hear from Toby's show yesterday. We featured Toby on our show yesterday because his YouTube channels got deleted. And he hosted his rapid fire radio show yesterday afternoon, which I hope you watched. And he had a special guest of his own, State Representative Steven Exaros. God, I hope I get that right. Who's a former police officer. And we're going to learn what he felt about the meetup on Sunday with the car burning, the police car burning, because that is directly connected to what happened Tuesday. Because the people that caused the anarchy, allegedly, Tuesday night, they used a burning police car in the flyer to promote their Tuesday night event. And, of course, the police car burned on Sunday night. So here's State Representative Exaros, former police officer, explaining these two things from yesterday's Rapid Fire Radio episode 237, hosted by Cape Gun Works.
It's this horrible crime. Gun control didn't work.
No.
Right? So what would have worked? Finding him guilty, put him in jail.
Right.
There comes a point where the public needs to be protected.
Right.
Not the bad guy.
Right.
So that's why I saw what happened in Boston. It was disrespectful. It was wrong when you show up to one of these street racing events that are going on. You're outnumbered. There's only so many police officers on duty, even in the city at 2:00 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And there's 100 people going absolutely crazy. Did you see the video?
Yeah.
It looked like Ramadi, Iraq.
Right.
The south end of Boston, according to State Representative Exaros, looks like Ramadi, Iraq. And, in a snapshot, it kind of did look like that Sunday night.
The cruisers are getting shot at with fireworks, and the police officers are getting attacked. And luckily, they caught 2 of them and arrested those 2.
Those outsiders from Rhode Island. Mayor Wu so upset about the outsiders.
That is wrong. So we saw that. I'm not going to remain quiet. I spoke with the governor. We had a big week in Boston for policing, and we wrote a bill, and that's going to make that forming up and taking over streets and blocking streets and all that stuff, stopping ambulances, all that's going to be a crime.
All right. Way to go, State Representative Exaros. He apparently has now filed a bill this week to somehow, not that we needed another law, but nonetheless, I think it sends a message. We should maybe start to enforce the laws we already have, but good on him.
Serious consequences. And if you do it, you could lose your vehicle, motorcycle, car, truck, whatever it is. So that's a new bill that we wrote based on what I saw in Boston and in other places.
The only thing is, Representative Exaros, the people that protested like Tuesday, they take the T and they ride in the bike lanes. It's the people Sunday, they might have cars.
We have to stop this before it gets worse, because it leads to other things. And that's the attacks on police and the crashes that can happen, or you can't get to the hospital, all that stuff. Then the next day, the protest, okay, folks got to realize, like, a protest is not like in the 70s, like my sister, like wearing a T-shirt like she did in a peace sign, like protesting peacefully. We have the right to do that, and we should.
Right.
But when these guys show up for a protest and they're wearing riot gear as the protester, what do you think they're going to do?
Right.
They're there to attack the police and cause trouble. And sadly, the police had officers on bicycle patrol dealing with that. It should have been crowd control, heavy equipment, like riot police should have been there to deal with them. And so we wrote a bill on that.
All right, so that's what I want to follow up with. Representative Exaros, former police officer, criticizing the leadership of the Boston Police Department for not deploying their resources in a strategic manner on Tuesday night. And I noticed this, that the overall strategy of the Boston Police Department, now this is not a decision made by the rank and file, this is made way, way up the food chain, was basically to lay back and let the thing happen. Let the thing happen. For instance, when I got down to the Common at 620, I made my way over to the Embrace statue thingy, and there were about 20 cops on bikes in the bright yellow, but they were hanging back from the protest a good 50 yards. And so when I went into the protest, just walking there, I'm walking here, and I was all by myself, right? All by myself. They were 50 yards behind me. And then the protest started to move as a march, and I asked the cops, several cops in that direction, do you know where this is going? And they were like, oh, we don't know. And, and I asked more than one just because, not everybody, So, but then all the cops were up at the Park Street station, and there weren't enough cops at the crosswalk. There should have been cops on both sides of the crosswalk, like maybe 3 on, or at least a half a dozen deployed at the intersection. There should have been a lot more cops, and they probably should have been geared up a lot better than they were, as former police officer, State Representative Exaros explains. As you know, and as you probably tell, this is not my field of expertise, but just having been there myself, I don't want to say it's the same thing that's going on in Portland that Nick Sodor, or whatever his name is, described. But it's not a coordination in any way, shape, or form. But I think from the top down, way up at the top of the leadership, starting with the mayor, there is this hands-off approach to these knuckleheads that has got to change. And we've got to put our police officers in a position to protect themselves and in a position to protect everybody else, right? And I don't think the way they were deployed, not being an expert, helped mitigate officer injury. I think it actually contributed to officer injury. Having witnessed it myself, from a command point of view, I don't think they were deployed either in the right location or with the right equipment. And thank you, Representative Exaros, for explaining that much better than I could. All right, great to have you with you here today. Happy Columbus Day weekend once again. It's going to be nice out today and tomorrow. Oh, by the way, tomorrow in beautiful downtown Plymouth, I don't know if you can see this, but the Walk for Unity in beautiful downtown Plymouth tomorrow, the Walk for Unity at 3:00 at 3:00 tomorrow. I will be there. And I think we're going to have a very, very big crowd. If I was running for office, I'd be there if I was running for it, because I think we're going to have a really nice crowd promoting values of life, family, faith, community, and country. Anybody is welcome. So I am hoping that we see our local state senator, Dylan Fernandez. It would be really nice to see him. I've never met him. It would also be very nice to see our local state representative, Michelle Badger. I've actually never met her either. You are welcome. And hey, you can march with me, right? Right? You march with me. I'll be there. Day of Unity. Let's do it. That's tomorrow at 3:00. It's a peaceful presentation down on Water Street in downtown Plymouth. Talking about gubernatorial candidates and candidates for office. Breaking this morning is news that Michael Minogue, the new candidate for governor, has granted his first television interview with John Keller. I know some of you might remember I had a couple of choice words for Mr. Keller earlier this week, but Mike Minogue has granted his first interview with Knuckle Bump John Keller, and it's going to be aired on this Sunday morning. Now, how this usually works is they usually drop a few tidbits to kind of tease the interview, and Politico this morning has a couple of those tidbits, sneak peek, so to speak. And it's on three things that they've decided to kind of drop in advance. The first one is that kind of like a bio thing. He's an outsider with a military background, as does Mr. Shortsleeve. Business, healthcare, supporting for veterans. He has a proven experience in the military, business, and nonprofit world. Okay, so there's a bio question, right? Then there's a question about abortion, which he clearly says, I am pro-life. And then he also basically, I'm going to kind of paraphrase this. He says, I'm going to follow the law and we'll focus on things that people are most worried about. Jobs, healthcare, and the economy. And I actually don't have a problem with that answer. I don't think. In that, I think for those of us who are pro-life, I think we do have to recognize that we ourselves have not changed enough hearts and minds yet to have many of our leaders change their hearts and minds. So they're not going to go out on a limb unless there's widespread support for our position, which we haven't yet quite wrapped up yet. So we're working on it. Next up, his reaction to ICE arrests of a Milford High School student and a Tufts University grad. Oh, boy. Oh, man. What we have as a culture and as a leader is to be able to prioritize and make common sense decisions. And those two examples, we didn't execute well. Wrong answer. You remember the kid in Milford that he was just going to volleyball practice. And then Maura Healey had him in the corner office. You remember that, right? He was in his father's car and ICE was looking for his father, and they happened to come across the kid because the kid was driving his father's car, and the father has a alleged track record of driving recklessly. And so they came across him. He's illegal. They arrested him. That is not a failure to execute. There's a term for that. That's called the facts. And B, it's called collateral damage. They absolutely should have arrested him. And I'm glad they did. They did the right thing. If ICE comes across an illegal alien in the course of their daily work, they should arrest you. right? Otherwise, there's another word for that. That's called amnesty. That's called amnesty. And the other one that he's referring to is the Ozturk person who's came here from Turkey, if I'm not mistaken, and she's decided to foment revolution effectively here in the United States, allegedly. Yeah. So she's been let out. And yep, back to Tufts University. This major, like noticing this Tufts University nexus thingy. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on here. 2 of the people arrested Tuesday night were from Tufts, and one of them was the former editor of the editorial board at the Tufts Daily newspaper. But not the best answer from Mr. Minogue on this arrest of especially of the Milford kid and the Ozturk kid. But strategically, why are you going on John Keller? That seems like a decision made by Washington, D.C. consultants. I wish I could pull it up now. In fact, I might have it right here. In fact, Duncan Burns kind of nailed it here. I'm going to just read you what he wrote. I'm going to star it and bookmark it for myself. Duncan Burns wrote, laugh out loud. John Keller is a mass Dems media bootlicker. I never liked that phrase, but nonetheless, there must have been a deal made. There is a zero reason to go on that fucktard show as a Republican from Duncan Burns. So that kind of sizes up my opinion on it as well. I think that's strategically a bad move. I spoke to a reporter yesterday, a print reporter, and he was like, I've been trying to get an interview with him and I can't get it. And I was like, I don't know. But I 30,000 foot, and I guess, what he's doing is creating supply and demand. I suppose that's what it is. And so he's thinking he's going to get a lot of viewership on this Keller interview. I get it. I get that strategy, but yeah, it's wearing a little thin. And again, I go back to that Kathy Carr interview that he did the other day, where he couldn't name a Republican he admired. And I think the other 2 dodged the question because they didn't want to name. They didn't want to say Kelly Dooner, for instance, who's a Republican that I think is worth admiration. But in Mr. Minogue's case, I don't think he knew any Republicans in Massachusetts. I don't know if he really has that granular. He has to prove it to me because I don't think he has that granular detail. By the way, the battery thing, you see that thing flashing there? That telling me my camera's going to die any moment now, which is impossible because it's plugged into the outlet. I don't use the battery. I have like an adapter that plugs it into the power strip. So it's not possible that it's going to fail. So we're just going to soldier. If it fails and the show just dies suddenly, you'll know why. But I'm just going to completely ignore that red blinking light on the screen and pray that my show just doesn't collapse. It shouldn't collapse because it's literally plugged into the power strip. I don't use a battery to do the show. All right, let's see. Bill adds, we need the district attorney to seek bail for the offenders, prosecute these crimes, and put people in jail to break the law. Yeah, we'll see. They do seem serious, and I think it's the Rank and File Patrolmen's Association that is really driving this, and all credit to them. And I think the rank and file police officer, I think the rank and file police officer was put in a very awkward position by the leadership way up the food chain, by the political leadership at the police department. That's how I view it. And that they themselves did a great job on the evening in question, given the way they were deployed. It was tough. Somebody's dropping a John Keller. I just got a John Keller tip to my phone, right? That was what that was. We'll look at that later. Thank you. You know who you are. The next story I want to talk about here was broken by the Boston Globe, and I'm going to give all credit to the Boston Globe for writing this story because it really upset me. I was in downtown Boston. I stopped at the State House yesterday, and I had to talk to a couple of people, and later, and then I was over in the Back Bay, and then later on, I read this headline at the Globe, and this was disturbing. And credit to the Globe for writing this story, and also acknowledging that I don't know how many other media outlets in New England have the resources to write a story like this. So let's give credit where credit is due. And I was just stunned by this story. 600 kids go missing from state care every year. These are the lost children of Massachusetts. And as you know, I don't subscribe to the Globe because they tend to call me a racist every single day. But I was just really horrified by this story. And I couldn't even, how can you lose 600 kids a year? I just don't understand it. So fortunately, Mike Dean, is that over at Axios? They must subscribe to the Globe, and so he summarizes it here. Blockbuster analysis by the Boston Globe. That's roughly 1 in 7 teenagers in the state care system. Why it matters. Children who run from group homes become involved in sex trafficking. 80 kids were identified as sex trafficking victims in 2023 alone. About 1 of those 7 went missing. Big picture. One of the 17-year-old teens who repeatedly told staff she wanted to run and use drugs after her group home placement. Staff failed to notify administrators or provide any crisis intervention. She fled and died of an overdose 2 days later. By the numbers, the analysis find Hispanic children represent 20% of youth, but 41% are runaways. Black kids are 8% of the youth and 22% of the runaways. There are over 130 group homes statewide. 10 homes have closed in the last 5 years after extensive violation. Former residents described abusive conditions made running seem safer than staying. Let's acknowledge, of course, that this is a really difficult population, right? And imagine most of these people that are doing the running away or missing are probably 10 to 17. I'm guessing they're probably not 6-year-old kids. That they're the older kids that go missing. Just my hunch, and it's a very difficult population, right? These kids are not in crisis; they're in multiple crisis. And we as a society, if there's anything that, or one of the definite mission critical things that a government should do is to take care of people that can't take care of themselves, right? And young kids in this foster care situation or this child state care situation fall into that category. And to see that we're doing such a bad job, it's troubling. Understanding, of course, that it will never be perfect because of the nature of the kids that they're dealing with, right? But our systems should be as best they absolutely possibly can, and our procedures should be the best they absolutely possibly can, and it doesn't seem as if that's the case in any way, shape, or form. Let's remember that the best social program is always widespread prosperity. And if we had widespread prosperity in Massachusetts, we'd probably have less kids in state. We would have less kids in state care. Absolutely. If we had widespread prosperity. And if we didn't, import 5 to 10% of our population that's competing for job. You know the thing, and driving down the wages, especially of working class people, citizens. If we hadn't done that, well, okay, the math is easy to figure out from there. But this is really awful. Many become victims of sex trafficking. And I don't even want to put this at the foot of Maura Healey. She's the governor now. I get it. I'm pretty sure this has been a long-term problem. And she's the governor now, so it will depend upon what she does as governor going forward. Foster children and the challenges of running away. There's a story here at the Kevin Patrick Seaver Foundation, lawyer.com. I think he's a lawyer. You can read more about this. Man, heartbreaking. We've got to do better. That's a really awful story. There's some information here at DCF. The Department of Children and Families should coordinate with other state agencies, law enforcement, and other children serving agencies to address how to detect and respond to human trafficking. It's almost as if they need to respond and detect human trafficking in their own facilities, right? This is a horrifically bad scandal. A lot of you had fun with this post yesterday, but I got to admit I screwed it up because what I really should have wrote at the top was Chicago woman. That's what I really should have wrote. But a lot of you had fun with it, as did I. But I really should have wrote Chicago woman who supported massive invasion, now upset about outsiders in Boston. And I shouldn't have called it her city because, and I should have labeled her as a Chicago woman. I will do better next time. But a lot of you enjoyed it, and it was pretty funny. But I will do even better. I have not had a chance to listen to this, but Chester Tam, the great Chester Tam, interviewed Tyler McAllister, who's running for what's he running for? Congress. He's running for Congress here in
not
my
friends
district
for sure,
where I live.
Off by saying I'm going to vote for you because Bill Keating's done nothing for this district, and we need somebody new in there. And I said to him in return, well, I need 6,999 more of you, and we win this race. So I think the time is there. The time is now, and the opportunity is there for sure.
All right, so I'm going to recommend that you listen to that Tyler McAllister podcast with Chester Tam here on X. The 9th Congressional District, which I still call the 10th, forgive me, is of all of them, it's the reddest that we have. It's the reddest that we have, and it's the least Dem. I guess that's the way to describe it. It is the least Dem district in Massachusetts. And when you add up the numbers, because I'm the kind of wonk person that does this, I pulled the numbers of Deaton versus Warren, and Deaton almost won the congressional district. It was very close. And here's my 2 cents on this district. It has always come down to New Bedford. This district always comes down to New Bedford. And as a Republican, if you're running for Congress in the 9th Congressional District, you have to really think about you're running 2 races. You're running for Congress, but effectively you're also more or less running for mayor of New Bedford. And you need to spend a wildly disproportionate amount of time on the streets in New Bedford if you're going to win that race. You're running for 2 things, Congress and like King of New Bedford, because if you can swing New Bedford, you have a shot at becoming the next congressman from the 9th Congressional District. Up next, Brian Shortsleeve, If Mora hadn't spent billions of dollars on migrants, we'd have plenty of money for our cities and towns without resorting to higher local option taxes. Leadership is about setting priorities. Thank you, Brian Shortsleeve. Municipalities crank up the heat with reporting of financial perfect storm, right? How many years has it been since the perfect storm? What year was that? 90? Somebody can tell me. 93? I remember I can't remember the year, but I remember it very well. Or was it 91? Could have been 91. I think it was 91. So someone can fact check me on that. But I warned you yesterday. I warned you yesterday that there was going to be this huge effort to raise local taxes. And credit to Brian Shortsleeve. He is on that. There is a huge effort to raise local taxes to combat Trump, right? That's exactly what it is. They're going to try to wring, rather than cut the government. No. The government, according to these people, needs to continue to be all things to all people. I remember that was a very effective phrase for Bill Weld when he ran for governor. Bill Weld said, government can't be all things to all people. And of course, Weld won. And it right now, government is all things to all people. And then rather than cut the government, they just want to raise your taxes every which way they possibly can. Meanwhile, to show you how wildly irresponsible they are, the governor vetoed some money out of the state budget, not a lot. And now we have Mass Municipal Association and Raise Up saying that we have to raise local taxes. But on Beacon Hill, do they learn? No. State reps say they can afford to spend more as they override Healy's budget vetoes. Well, wait a second. I thought we were in crisis. I thought there was a perfect storm. Why are we spending more if there's a perfect storm? I don't understand. Oh, unless the goal is just to keep the gravy train going, because I think that's what the goal might actually be. The goal might to be keep the gravy train going. And once again, here we go again. There you go again, as Ronald Reagan would say. Brian Shortsleeve once again for the win. Remember when Haley nominated her former romantic partner to the Supreme Judicial Court? Her nepotism is at work again. As I think we mentioned yesterday, but it's worthy of mentioning, the governor has now nominated her wife's lawyer for a judgeship. Yeah, like you literally can't make that up. It was hard to wrap my head around it yesterday, and it's worthy of an additional mention again today, because the governor is telling us with the First Lady of Utah, the First Lady of Massachusetts and the First Lady of Utah have penned an article in Newsweek. I don't know how she was able to squeeze in the time from her $400,000 grift at the State's Democracy Center in Washington, D.C. I don't know how the First Lady of Massachusetts had enough time to write this article, but she is now pontificating that it's now time to listen more and turn away from hate and find connection. The next generation is watching, according to Maura Healey and the First Lady of Massachusetts. Utah, Mass. First spouses, American, is that what you call? Is she a first spouse? Is that what it is? And of course, the Newsweek article doesn't populate, at least the art doesn't. Abby Cox and Joanna Lydgate, the First Ladies of Massachusetts and Utah. Do you think that the governor is going to be at the Unity rally on Saturday at 3:00 in Plymouth? You can march with me more. I'll march shoulder to shoulder with you if you come to the Unity rally. That would be awesome, right? You're invited, everyone's invited to the Peaceful Unity rally in Plymouth tomorrow at 3:00. I hope you come. I don't think we'll see one Democrat there. But it is difficult to be in unity with these Democrats based upon where they're at. Understand that what happened Tuesday night is the base of the Democrat Party. Joe Rogan explains.
Whatever it was where she was running for president, and she's more MAGA than MAGA.
Yeah,
like she is talking about if you're a criminal, no ifs, ands, or buts, you get kicked out, and if you're here, you pay a stiff fine.
So, I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
What?
People ask me, how did you support Bill Clinton in 1992? Because he was a Republican, basically.
What happened to that?
It's out there, but then we're not getting, most people don't know about it, or they don't see it. You have to look for it or something like
well,
those lines.
It lets you realize that these people that are playing these roles of leaders, they don't have principled stances on things. They go with wherever their party's leaning and wherever the majority of people believe is the direction to go. And they might not even implement these things, but just to say it in order to get elected and get people to vote for them. And that's what they did.
It's insane.
Hillary Clinton didn't even believe in gay marriage until 2013.
It is true they don't have principle, but it's sad what's happened to the Democrat Party, right? It's really sad. Immediately after the election of Trump last fall, on this show, we started to ask the question, what is going to be the future of the Democrat Party? And now we know the future of the Democrat Party is effectively violence. That's how they're going to communicate. They are French Revolution adjacent right now. And I know Tucker Carlson did a video yesterday about, are we headed towards a civil war? It was kind of like a little hyped up a little bit, I think. But it's not looking good right now, the state of our union, in terms of how far left the Democrats have gone. It's really ugly and disturbing. And I don't know how far that clip was back. I was going to guess that's 15 or 20 years ago. But you can find clips from 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, Democrats saying normal things, and now those things are completely verboten by the Democrats. And because the way it works with these revolutions in the French Revolution, as Robespierre learned, is that you can't get left enough, that your crazy radical position today is too conservative tomorrow, because everyone looks to prove that they're the most strident believer. And it goes down a really, really super dangerous slope real quickly. You should study the French Revolution if you haven't. I know you say, oh, it's so long ago, but it is really a lesson in human interaction and psychology, which really hasn't changed a heck of a lot since. All right, there is kind of a funny thing. I need to learn more. But I think that there is some type of bet that has been placed between Brian Shortsleeve and Mike Minogue to do some type of gentleman's wager for the Army-Navy game, which, if I'm not mistaken, is sometime in December, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be something fun to watch. Yesterday, I believe I reported from the Boston Broadside that Jennifer Nassour, the former, I think, finance chair of the Massachusetts GOP, had gone to work for Mike Minogue as basically his chief fundraiser, which I thought was peculiar because I always thought she was kind of like a never Trump type of guy or gal. And I thought it was weird that she would go work for Minogue. But that's what she did. And she's got a podcast, Political Contessa. Okay. She interviewed Ed Flynn. That was probably a kind of an interesting lesson. This is just posted yesterday. But then, I was walking in the halls of the State House yesterday, and I was thinking, why did she go to work for Mike Minogue? And I think I have I think there's a deal afoot. I'm just going to float this out here. I know this might sound crazy, but I think there could be a deal afoot. And here's the idea. They're going to run as a ticket that they will run as she's theoretically can raise money. She's a she. And there's a long history of male picking a female running mate in the GOP recently. And she's also not a Trumper, right? A Trumper. You're a Trumper. She's kind of like a never Trump. So theoretically, they balance. And so I don't think this is just a hire so that she can be the fundraiser. I think there'll be a national search for a lieutenant governor candidate. And right now, pure speculation, but right now my money is on Jennifer Nusor to be the lieutenant governor candidate to run as an unofficial ticket with Mike Minogue. Additionally, some of you might remember that these people are actually elected and nominated separately and then run as a ticket officially in November. But Weld broke that mold when he picked Cellucci unofficially to run as a ticket way beforehand, and it worked. This is, I have nothing to base it on, only the political calculus that it makes sense, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but I think that makes sense. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone can tell me I'm wrong. I want to tell you somebody that is right. And he had a massive day yesterday, releasing a huge amount of content about gas station heroin. Wow, what an amazing amount. You should go over to Big Steve 207 and learn about what he produced and dropped yesterday. Undercover video provided to me by gasstationheroin.com. And he discussed this on the Sean Ryan show. Shows eerie similarities to how Big Pharma marketed opiates and how at least one supplement company is marketing 7-OH, which I don't even know what 7-OH is. But apparently you can buy a bunch of these products at your local smoke shop and or gas station / convenience store. And a lot of these products are marijuana grown illegally in places like Maine and Oklahoma. And then they have a lot of other products that you can buy at the convenience store. And credit to Jessica Machado. She wrote this story yesterday or overnight about this drink that nobody's questioning. It's called Feel Free Classic. And you can go over to Jessica Machado's Substack and read this story. She talked to somebody who got addicted to this thing and was drinking 9 to 10 bottles of it a day. It's $10 a bottle, if I understand. And it's got some type of stuff in it that makes you feel good, apparently. And apparently also, according to this gas station heroin documentary, which is 26 minutes long, the stuff that they're selling at the gas stations is also incredibly addictive and getting off of it is almost impossible. And God knows what's in it. And it's kind of like this loophole that if the FDA isn't regulating it, they're selling. Oh my God, it's really bad. And these people are making a lot of money. As Machado described, the sales reps in this story, maybe you've seen this product at your local convenience store. Feel free. Mood lift plus energy plus focus. I don't know what's in that little blue bottle, but I'm not taking any. I'll tell you that. Right next to your lottery tickets, for sure. Wendy, I think, is intrigued by the Jennifer Nasor trial balloon, which I just floated out there. I think Wakeman. I'm dropping a little Wakeman wisdom on Wakeman today. Yeah. So there's that. Let's see. Mary says they've already tried in Northbridge. I'm guessing you're talking about raising local taxes. I'm thinking that's what you're. Sorry, I missed your quote. Missed your comment from before. Yeah, and if they tried in Northbridge, they'll be trying again. Don't worry about it. Yeah, they'll be trying again for sure. All right. Hey, that's the show. Happy Columbus Day weekend, and good luck with the storm. And again, tomorrow, Saturday, is going to be lovely. And if you want to join us in downtown Plymouth on Water Street at 3:00 for the Unity Walk, or the Walk for Unity, tomorrow, Saturday, 3:00, anybody there, even you Democrats, you can walk with me. All right. All right. We'll go shoulder to shoulder if you Democrats want to show up. And I'm dead serious about that. We're happy to we would love you to come. All right. Thank you. Have a great Columbus Day weekend. Bye-bye.